Yo, yo! What is up, everybody? How has everyone's day been going today? I hope everybody is feeling second to none today. As you can see, it's a little cloudy today, but I hope everyone has enjoyed their last weekend by relaxing and did some fun activities to go recreation to relieve off some stress, like going surfing or tennis or basketball or any other fun sports recreation activities. My name is Dakota. I go to Irvine Valley College. Hello, all classmates. Welcome to ASL Introduction to the Deaf World and Society. Today, I like to share a few things about the deaf people. Today, I would like to wish everyone a good success for everyone who is studying or majoring in any type of world language. Today, I'll be talking about two different types of people, which are the hearing people and the deaf people, how they relate to each other, how they're different with each other, and how they communicate with one another. Imagine you are living inside a small white box, white void, and you are trapped inside a white void with no one around you. You are absolutely silent, dead on the inside. There's barely any lighting, and there's no background noises to be heard whatsoever. You have this feeling like you don't know what to say because there is no one to communicate with. And oftentimes you might feel awkward because you don't know how to talk, and there's no one to talk, and there's no internet. You are trapped inside what is the quietest room ever. You have just demonstrated an experiment of what it's like to be deaf as well as having very low hearing. Today I'll be talking about living between the deaf and hearing worlds and how they communicate with one another, allowing everyone to succeed. Living between the hearing and deaf world has evolved in a very seemingly interesting fashion. Communication is one of the most common everyday activities we go through every time we speak with our parents, friends, classmates, employees, coworkers, and other people that we know of. We go through communication to talk to everyone, to make conversation, to see how everyone's going, as well as what they do on their free time. Every time we communicate, we are using our mouths to speak. That is, we are utilizing our voice boxes to converse words out through our mouths, and we also make eye contact with each other every time we talk. Every time a pair of people talk to each other, both eye contact and speaking enables everyone to start a conversation, to see how everyone's going, and as well as how is school, what classes this is that they're taking, and as well as a type of world language that they're mastering. Our ears is what we take advantage of while speaking, so that we can hear ourselves, hear our own voices speak, as we are utilizing our access to hearing, and that we are constantly having our eyes and ears open to around the world, so that we can speak as well as hear the world around us. Our ears have been playing a very important role in our lifetime. We judge our ears we use our ears to judge sound as well as the surroundings of what is going on in the world around you. However, when you do not have hearing, it can be very hard to talk to people. We cannot really hear our voices without hearing, so our ears is what gives us access to sound in order to hear our own voices speak, because without it we would just seem like we'd have random mouth movements and no actual words coming out of our mouths. About 1 out of every 5 individuals on planet Earth have been deaf since birth, And when you are deaf, you have no access to hearing. Therefore, you have no idea what is going on in the world around you, and it can be hard to communicate with people for the first time because you have no idea what it's like to be surrounded by sound, nor do you even know what it's like to even hear your own voice. You can have a hard time speaking if you have no hearing, since your mouth movements depend on what words you are trying to say. Some people who have been deaf since birth suffer from language deprivation, where there is no access to learn world languages, and there is no one else to help in order to learn a world language. American deaf education has been one of the most valuable school resources to learn ASL in, as in stands for American Sign Language. American Sign Language has existed since the last 200 years, although no one actually came up with it. However, it has dominated as one of the world's most famous hand gesture sign language in the world, and has become a fundamental societal communication using the fundamental sign language skills abilities. As a beginner, when learning sign language, it is going to be very difficult to first get used to object recognition and hearing. While most people can communicate normally throughout their ears and mouths, some do not have any advantage in using their ears, since they have no hearing access. ASL has been one of the best resources to learn sign language as well as communications. Some people who are born without any hearing may not know what it's like to even experience sound. We often take our ears for granted so much because we often listen to music, and that we have fun like dancing with loud sounds, that we don't even know what we're doing with our ears. Babies who have been born since birth have no experience to any sound devices whatsoever. Therefore, they cannot understand what it's like to have hearing. As a newborn child who is just starting to learn how to talk, it can be extremely difficult to cohere with other individuals, especially the ones who do have hearing and can communicate normally with each other. As a deaf individual learning to communicate with other people, it may feel a little awkward for a while, considering how two people who are born differently don't feel very comfortable talking to each other, due to the fact that suddenly learning a new language feels very foreign, and such two different languages could create conflict with one another. And about 1 out of every 3 people have suffered from language deprivation, with no access to learning world languages, and no access to no luck in finding other people who know about sign language. Learning American Sign Language has never been easy for deaf infants, especially if they have no access to learn if they are foreigners, or that they have no access to learning any world language. So they will probably need to adjust to the new hearing world in order to be able to learn a new language. ASL has existed for over 2 full centuries, and it has been a #1 record based on the infancy of the sign language system. Along with other traditional spoken languages such as English and Spanish, ASL has arose among the American school system of deaf, and it continues its route into becoming one of the most famous non-humanly invented languages. A little over 50% of deaf individuals have attended deaf education as a learning process of sign language and oralism. Oralism is the act of using mouth movements while conversing with one another while being in the process of learning sign language while deaf. Oralism is not required in learning sign language. Compared to the hearing people who can't communicate with others normally, ASL school is often a challenge taken upon the deaf individuals and would have to be required for flawless communication with anyone, especially those who have been deaf since birth. While most people can recognize objects very easily but by sighting and wording, a young deaf individual has a disadvantage into object recognition. Depending on the ability to hear, a young child may have to visually recognize the object through only sight and will have to physically process the image through the child's brain. Remember, the kid does not need to learn oralism to learn ASL, nor she need it for an object recognition. The good news is that there is the internet to learn how to master anything, especially in world languages such as ASL. Little kids can also learn if they have friends who is also deaf or is familiar with ASL as well. There are quite a few number of strengths to deaf people despite their learning disabilities. The strengths is that deaf people usually commit to having is that there is absolutely nothing wrong with them at all. They are just born differently and in a very unique fashion. People just don't know anything about deaf people at all, and there's quite a bit of discrimination against them, against hatred and crime. Other people need to realize that there is something very special about the person, and that he and she is way more intelligent than one imagines. That person, all he or she needs to do is just adjust to the new living world and in a whole different way. Success is possible for any generations of any people. Whether you have learning disabilities or not is totally irrelevant. You will still be able to succeed under all circumstances. You just need a little time, a little patience, and practice. The only weakness that I would have for the deaf people is that nothing wrong with them. That they just, at first, they may not know what it's like to hear, but as they learn sign language and continue to learn, they'll eventually become way better in mastering sign language. Learn sign language, especially if they put their mind effort to it, and that they like communicate with their friends in a very fun manner. Deaf people who are communicating via sign language throughout the entire audience usually engages comical stories, events, by utilizing uniquely hand gestures and facial expressions to entertain the audience and to make them laugh. Other people also need to view the deaf as more of a positive, and that could inspire others to learn anything and to become a professional at it, especially if you're a narrator who's speaking in front of an audience and want to make the audience respect you. In this case, deaf people are going to be more respected than hated. That way there'll be more love than hate in this world. Once deaf people have more respect for other people, such as their friends or strangers, when it comes to succeeding anything, especially when it comes to learning any new languages, world and sign language, there is almost a guarantee that you will be able to succeed in about almost anything you can imagine. Thank you, and have a great day.